About this, a lot of big things coming out of Health and Human Services, as you know. The food pyramid being the latest casualty of common sense. We got rid of that thing that we shouldn't have had for years. Can you imagine 11 servings of pasta a day? Come on now. And almost no meat. Look, we got rid of the food pyramid in my house about 1985 because it made no sense. But the real question going through 2026 is, will this relationship between Bobby Kennedy and Donald Trump survive? Yael Ossowski is a policy writer, former North Carolina radio show host in Wilmington, North Carolina. He joins me now. Yael, nice to see you today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on, Steve.
All right, so the RFK Trump alliance. Some people think that it's not going to make it. What say you?
I think we've definitely gotten some good programs, policies, and headlines. Definitely the realfood.gov, this brand new food pyramid, which is a beautiful website, by the way. Who knew that the government could actually build a nice website? I would say this is a win. That is just one win for right now. And we're talking right now a lot about Medicare fraud, Medicaid fraud, and these are huge issues that will be very looming for the Trump administration. And I don't really think that RFK has put forward too much that is really going to help there. So I do know that MAHA was a very big part of MAGA in the beginning, but it's a 1 year in for RFK, and there have been a lot of stumbles. There have been a lot of issues, a lot of problems, and I think he's actually put Trump in some hot water as well. I'm thinking specifically of the Tylenol case. This is one big one. And again, we cannot forget who RFK is. He was a trial attorney for a very long time. He was a big Democratic power-based guy. His kind of network are the people who are on the billboards, who are saying, have you been injured? That's sort of his circle. And we're seeing more and more that with some of his policies, those people are actually getting a lot of benefits from his rule and not necessarily just the full MAHA coalition. So I do think there's going to be furthering tension with this. I don't know if it'll bubble up to the absolute surface, but, at the same time, there's a lot of complicated stuff happening in Washington, a lot of things happening in the world. And I think we need all our eyes focused on how we can actually improve things in the United States and not kind of get caught up in some of these issues and the ways that RFK has gotten tripped up in the past.
The two big wins, though, are pretty important. The food pyramid and, of course, the vaccine schedule going from 79 to 11. Those are two big wins that people notice. So people aren't seeing any undercurrents of issues. The Tylenol case comes to mind, but it really was a flash in the pan. It kind of came and went pretty quickly in the news cycle. Of course, what doesn't these days because it moves so quickly. But you really think there's a problem here. You think it's time to move on and do something different. Who would you suggest run that agency?
Well, I have to say, Dr. Oz has been very impressive, and he's been actually doing a very good job in addressing some of the issues with Medicaid and Medicare funding, looking at a lot of the fraud. If you remember the Dope Sick sort of TV series many years ago that talked about, opioids and the rest, the only reason that got found out, the only reason that we knew anything about this is because there was this huge amount of Medicare fraud that they uncovered and realized that all of these doctors were writing these extra prescriptions. So there's a lot of corruption that is within the normal American medical system that I think we have to do and uncover. I think Dr. Oz would be very good at that. I think RFK he's very good on communicating on these issues. I just don't know if bureaucracy-wise, he's the best leader for it. And another thing I would mention is that he has a lot of conflicts. Last time we spoke on this show, Steve, we talked about Bitcoin. So he obviously has a lot of Bitcoin. I can't say that's bad. But I would say that he still has a partnership interest in this firm, Morgan & Morgan, the largest plaintiff lawyer sort of firm in the entire country. And they're the ones who are actually suing all of the food companies in San Francisco court. We're talking about Fruit Loops. We're talking about Coca-Cola. Basically the entire processed food industry, saying that they've been poisoning the people, they've been killing us for so long. So he actually has a financial stake in that lawsuit because he's still a partner at Morgan & Morgan. Is he getting,
that's interesting to me that he could still be a partner. By the way, Morgan & Morgan billboards surround me here in Michigan. I mean, I see them every day. They're the biggest law firm in America, as you point out. Their advertising budget is almost $400 million. $400 million that Morgan & Morgan spends advertising in this country to get more clients or more people into the pipeline. They're not just lawyers. They are a machine. And I don't know if they win any of these lawsuits, but I find it remarkable that he could still be a partner in a law firm if he's serving in the United States government. How is that allowed?
Well, so he had to do his financial disclosures, and I think because there was so much press about RFK at the beginning, he was very controversial. A lot of people really loved him. I think this part was kind of swept under the rug or just wasn't focused on. Journalists had plenty, and I think there was too much focus on the vaccine stuff. And I think this is a kind of issue that people have is if you only use the vaccine argument, particularly in mainstream media, there's a lot of people who are very skeptical of this. And, you know, the medical establishment, if we look at COVID and everything else, has not been the most trustworthy. So there's not really, that's not a reason you're not going to light RFK. And I think a lot of the financial interest that I mentioned, and we still have to remember, you know, he only became in the kind of circle of the GOP and MAGA and Trump after he lost his own bid to become president, both in the Democratic primary and then as an independent. And that power base is still there. And I think that's what I'm kind of worried about, too, is that his instincts are not going to be the same as MAGA's instincts. If he's allowed to focus only on maha, only on healthcare, you've heard Trump say this, you know, we're going to keep Bobby away from the liquid gold and oil. We know that RFK hates this stuff, right? But
he hates the Second Amendment, too, which is something else that doesn't jive with Trump very well either. We'll keep an eye on it, excuse me, Yael, because it'd be a big change. But I think there have been some successes, as we've talked about. But Donald Trump is transactional. We all know that. And if the transactions aren't coming through anymore, he'll find somebody new. And maybe it is Dr. Oz. We'll keep an eye on it. Thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you so much, Steve.
Greatly appreciate it. Good stuff there. What do you think, guys? Is he going to make it or not? What are your thoughts on Bobby Kennedy? Send me an email.